I've got a little story here that includes Gene Hasenfus, who's recently passed. He was a good friend in Laos and an excellent kicker. But in Laos, when I first got there, I stayed in a hotel there, rented a room by the month. And it was called a Seta Palace Hotel, which is now a posh place. Back then it had a bar downstairs and another little place called the Pub, run by an Englishman. And more often than not, we would be down there in the pub enjoying a beer with this British host. It was also a common hangout for the Air America crowd. And we were there on the 4th of July and thought this is a great place to be during our nation's birthday. But we were kind of unhappy that nobody was doing any fireworks or any other special celebration around due to the birthday of America. So Gene admitted he had liberated some M80 firecrackers from the Laotian art basic training they used to simulate fire with. And as the afternoon progressed, we went up to the second floor with these M80 firecrackers and did our own 4th of July celebration by throwing a few off the balcony up there. Well, this was fine, but just at the end of the road was a Chinese embassy, the Nationalist Chinese embassy. And they had a whole tall wall around that place. And we thought, hey, maybe they should join in on our celebration. So we took some rubber bands and launched these firecrackers over towards their wall that they had. And as they went off, like all embassies worldwide, whenever in danger or doubt, run in little circles and scream and shout. Well, they did that with great verve. It was, you could hear the screaming and yelling over there, because they thought they were under attack. Well, a few more firecrackers launched into that area really stirred the pot. But we didn't know they called the U.S. Embassy, or the Lao Embassy, and wanted to know what they were going to do to thwart the attack they were under. Well, the Lao Embassy, of course, promptly called the American Embassy to see if this was something of their doing. Well, the American Embassy said no, they weren't doing it. So they launched some troops in a 6x truck to go help them defend their embassy. And they got lost a couple times en route, but finally Gene and I could see this 6x truck with troops in it pull up in front of the hotel. They were armed with rifles with fixed bayonets, and they charged into the lobby and up the stairs and down to the area where they thought the attack was being launched from. Meanwhile, one of our Helio courier pilots and his wife were in that room, and he'd come back from a trip up country, and they were in the shower together. Well, when the Lao troops broke the door down and charged in and drug them off naked to the Huskow, we thought this was a great fun. But the American Embassy also dispatched their chief of security, and he was there to supervise this whole operation too. And he came into the pub to have a beer and saw Gene and I sitting there with still some M80 firecrackers on the table, and he said, "You guys." And we admitted that we'd been throwing firecrackers around, and he thought it was really funny, but said, "Don't do any more," and he's going to go get the Helio pilots and his wife out of the Huskow and back to their room. They never did find out who did this whole thing, and we never disclosed to them that we were the culprits that had them thrown in jail. But it was all part of a great fun of the Lao existence. Thank you.